Hello and welcome to Steve's Backyard Bonsai. Well, my Central Park Penjing is not looking very park-like. As a matter of fact, it looks just like a bundle of leaves and a bunch of tangled branches. So let's see what we can do about that today. All right, the first thing I want to do is collect the fertilizer baskets and the loose pieces of fertilizer I have on here. I'm going to have to do something with the moss on this side. I think I'm going to demoss it. I'll see if I can resurrect this moss, and I'll put some fresh moss here. I've got to muck this side up and put moss on this side as well. The trees are the biggest thing I need to do today to get them individualized and not quite this big mass. All right, the next thing I want to do is to collect the seed heads from all of these plants in the planter, because I'm going to want to reseed these. I'm going to want to make them a little bit nicer and then reseed them. Let me see about doing that. There's no point in you watching me do all this. I'll go into fast mode. Next, I want to dive into the canopy. I'm trying to pick a tree to start with. And we'll look at this as a typical tree, and that everything that I'm going to do to the other trees will be just like this. All right. And then we'll go in fast motion. The idea is to get individual trees. So right away at the bottom, there's some interference. It involves two trees, but I'll just start with this one, and I'm going to cut it down to the second set of leaves on that branch. The second set of leaves on this branch, and don't forget, I'll be taking more off the tree next to it as well. Let's see. This is lignified. And it divides into two. I'm just going to take the tip off of the side with more vigor, and hopefully that will create a little denser patch there. There's a pruning stub here I'll take off. And I did want to have a tunnel effect happening on the walkway. So that's working out. All right, this lower branch, I still want it going down to the second set of two leaves. This inner bit of foliage, I don't think I want it all. I'll take that off. We'll see what happens to that branch. It may come off in the future. Don't forget, this is a park. Every now and then, branches get pruned in a park. I'm going to take this one down 3 leaves, leaving 3 leaves. But this branch comes up, divides into 2. This one divides into 2. I'm going to take the tip off of here and equal out the vigor. And this one divides into 1, 2, oh. Well, it divides into 2 at the tip, but there's a branch lower down that I'll leave. right, that's a little dense there, but I'll get to it. All right, so I had my canopy pruned to here. So everything up above that and this is new. So let's get the height back down where it belongs. It comes up and divides into two, not exactly evenly, but that's fine. I'm going to prune it to a, let's see, I want a leaf that faces that way. So I'll prune it to that leaf. This comes up and also divides into two, not exactly evenly. What do I want my apex to be? I want my apex to be here, maybe equal with this. So this will be a little bit lower. Here's an outward facing leaf there. Okay, this one comes up and divides into two. I'm going to go to an outward facing leaf here. And an outward facing leaf here. Wherever I see a pruning stub, I'm going to try and clean it up. And the new ones I'm leaving a bit for dieback. I'll prune this one to here. That leaf fans that way. I'm moving around as I see the branches, and I'm sorry, I don't necessarily follow an order. So this one comes up, has a branch off to that side, which I like. I'll prune it to where I think it should be. It ends up being 2, 4, 6 leaves out. This one, I want to go in this direction, so I'm going to prune it to this leaf. This actually divides, if you look at it this way, it divides into 3. So do I take one of these away? I don't really want to take that away. I like it. I'll prune it back to here. And this one further back to here, to the 3rd leaf, 4th leaf. So 2 sets. And because the trees are overlapping, when I get to another tree, I may say, oh, this branch still needs trimming. And hopefully you'll see that as well. Pruning stub. First set of leaves, I'm sorry, second set of leaves, and here the same, second set of leaves. You know what? I'm going to go down one, so it'll be 3 leaves up, the new stem. This is right below it, but I think I can coax it the other way. Here's a pruning stub. And there's the prior pruning stub, so they're pretty close. All right, I'm going to go 2 sets of leaves here and 2 sets of leaves there. I said I wanted this to be the apex, but maybe equal with this. I think this would put it slightly below, but mostly on the same plane in this. Those are from another tree. Doesn't matter the next direction, either one is okay. Here, just taking the tip off, and this one I'm pruning to here. The idea is to individualize these trees as much as possible and coax them where you want them to be over time. This, let's see, I think I'll take it to here, but I may go lower. I'll probably leave that. And I think this tree is done. There may be a branch or two that I come back to. All right, let's move around to this big middle tree because this will help me with all the trees around it. But, like I said, I'll do the rest of the tree in time lapse. Rest of the trees in time lapse. All right, so what I attempted to do, and I think I succeeded, was thinning out the canopy and bringing it back down. This being the lead tree, I think I took what I needed to take off of this tree, but it left it kind of bare. So at least it's going to be able to get sunlight here, and it's healthy, so I'm sure it'll fill in. I'll make another round of adjustments during the summer, just like I did last year, and I'm hoping that the leaves come in like the leaves that you see here, very, very small, and then I'll come in and just pluck off the larger leaves. There are some areas of density that I might still clear away, but this is it for the trees. I'll get it at the height of the planting, and then we'll move on to the next phase of this restoration. All right, the planting is a bit more visible now. Just picking up a few errant leaves. And I want to talk about a few things that need to be done. Not sure I'll get everything done today, but if I don't, I'll provide an update of where it is and what I did while I was off camera. This park bench needs gluing down. It's a little loose. I'm going to take these plantings out of here and I'm going to retop this with a nicer soil. I'm going to try and keep some of this soil to mix in it because I'm sure there's seeds in there and I kind of like what was growing. It's just a little dumbly planted. I'm still going to leave this one open. I'm not sure what to do here. I don't think I'll leave it open actually. I think I'll enclose it. This sphagnum moss was put here to encourage the roots that seem to be growing up this rock, and if I could get them to continue and to go down into this planter, that's going to be real nice and look very much Central Park like. This moss, I think it might be dead here. There is some staining that looks like, you know, it came from the either the hard water that I sometimes have to use when I don't have any rainwater, and also from the fertilizer pellets. So I think it's time for this to be redone, this surface to be redone. And oh, it's going to bother me, but I have to do it. And I may not do it in this sitting, I may do it over the summer. So, do I want to investigate this? I kind of do. See what's going on. There were roots. I do see some very, very fine roots in there. I'm going to have to be careful about how I scrape this away. I'm going to use my ceramics needle. I'll try and do this as gingerly as possible. I'm sure there were roots. I remember that there were roots. Oh yeah. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I've got to redo this. I don't want them going this way. I want them going back the other way. So I have to see how I can coax them. All right, that's what I'll be working on. I think this is going to get a little messy. This may work after all. All right, I just want you to see the roots I have to work with. They're excellent. I'm going to be driving these roots in this direction to go down on this side. On this side. I think that's pretty exciting. When I planted this up, I watched the video the other day and I heard myself saying something like, I promise you there will be roots on this rock, because that is my impression of Central Park. All over the place. And I've got plenty of pictures of it, which I posted. So that's what I want here. I'm going to cover this in muck and take it to about here. And when I start to see roots coming out of there, I'll waterfall them down. Okay. Like all good bonsai enthusiasts, I always have some muck at the ready. And I'm going to push this muck down very firmly. This muck is of my own creation. It has some lizard bedding in it as the base. It's got ground sphagnum moss, not ground too finely. It's got, what else? Oh, Akadama dust. And I think that's it. So I'm pushing this down very firmly onto the rock because what I learned from watching Nigel Saunders moss up his temple, he reminded us that if the moss layer is too thick or if the muck layer is too thick, roots are going to grow up into it anyway. And you want those clinging tightly to the rock. Now it'll be my job over the season to make sure this doesn't dry out. I will cover it with a blanket of sphagnum moss. It won't look good. All right. Now I already have a pretty good start of it going down into here, but I'm not sure it would cling to the rock. I won't know that until I pull this wire off of here, which isn't touching the tree at all. It's pressing down on the roots, and then I have this wire going up the tree, keeping it straight. And I think that will become a moot point when these roots really cling to this rock. All right, I'm glad I had this muck ready mixed. I'll wet up some sphagnum moss and put that on here. But I'll do that off camera. All right, so the Parks Department's going to have a fit when they come through here to do their cleaning. So I better clean up. I don't want to get a fine. All right, let me clean that up, and we'll come back and talk about what we're doing next. All right, this is all I'm going to have time to do today. I've taken out a lot of the soil from this planter. I've taken out most of the soil from this planter. What I put down in there were the smalls from my regular planting mix. I will empty out this planter and this planter. I've thrown some regular moss on the top of this. I'll be able to tell when it dries out a lot better than sphagnum moss. And I'll be keeping it very, very moist. And we'll check these roots again, maybe at the end of the season. Give them the whole season to grow. I'll be pressing them down like this all the time. Very nice. All right, that's it for today. Thanks for keeping me company in my backyard.